On blast.
This is Ball on Blast, Raps post-game playoff edition. Part of the On Blast podcast network. Available on iTunes, SoundCloud and YouTube. If you like it, then subscribe and tell your friends. Holla.
On blast.
Thank you. Far too kind, Raptors fans, for tuning in and sticking through that terrible game. Game 4, the final game of the Toronto Raptors season, as the Raptors go down 128-93. Again, that's 128-93 to complete the 4-game sweep at the hands of the Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron James. As always, my name is Sheldon Alexander. This is the Ball on Blast live podcast following the Raptors loss, and I am here again with Ola at the far end. I got Beals, and then Q. Guys, that was a tough game to watch. That was a very tough game to watch. A pathetic performance by the Raptors. Let's just start there. Were you expecting more out of the Raptors from that game, or did it really matter because the series was over anyways?
1, 2, 3, Cancun. That's it, man.
I was waiting for a man to say that.
That's it, man.
It's one of those things, you lose 4 games. Game 4 wasn't close. Game 2 wasn't close. I don't even think Game 3 was close, and I think the LeBron buzzer beater kind of masked the fact, that will be the story from that game, not the fact that the Raptors weren't even in that game at all. So maybe I could give people Game 1 and say, okay, the Raptors blew that game, but to me, that's why the Raptors lost the series.
Other than Game 1, the Raptors showed no heart. They showed now it's psychological now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
LeBron just has a psychological edge against them, and it's only LeBron. It's not even his team, right? But come on, man, it's getting to the point where the Raptors can't even break through.
Yeah,
they can't even run their stuff. They can't even hit wide open layups. LeBron was quoted before this game saying that, hey, DeMar has missed some easy ones. And then in the game, when you watch today's game, it's evident he's missing wide open layups that he usually hits. Mid-range jumpers that statistically he's the best in the NBA of hitting, and then he's just missing all of a sudden. It's a mental thing now.
Yeah, but LeBron in the key, DeRozan forgets that he was ever in a slam dunk contest. He forgets that he's supposed to be the mid-range maestro. Yeah. He just forgets.
I agree.
What happened in this series? A 4-0 sweep. I don't think that, even if you were to say that you thought the Cavs would win this series, which I thought the Cavs would win this series heading in, I'm not sure I would have predicted a sweep. I'm not sure I would have predicted blowouts like we saw all the way from the Raptors. So my question to you guys is, regardless of what you expected going in, what happened in this series? How did we end up in this point where we're looking at just an utter domination from the Cavs?
I don't know. For me, it's 3 things. It's bad coaching.
Okay.
LeBron. And I'm going to put them together. Mental and physical toughness. There just wasn't any.
I agragree.
There just wasn't any at all, man. There just wasn't any at all.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. Yeah. It's simple. Raptor fans, and I gotta keep saying, I'm a diehard LeBron fan, but I want to see Toronto at least do well against them. Mm-hmm. And there just wasn't any of those 3 things. And for true hardcore or so-called hardcore Raptor fans to say that, this season was a success for them. Nah, man. Like Foot said,
it's a failure.
It's chip or bust. It's chip or bust. It's not second round. It's not conference finals.
We've been here before.
It's chip or bust. That's where we're at. That's what Masai was saying all season. That's what the Raptors were saying all season. It's chip or bust, and it's obviously bust.
I hate quoting a certain rapper who shall remain nameless in these moments, but the title of it just comes to my name. So let's play the blame game here for a second. Mm-hmm. Who are we blaming for this debacle? Because you look at it, and there's different angles. You mentioned Casey. Are we blaming Casey? Are we blaming Kyle and DeMar as the stars of this team? Are we blaming Masai as the guy who put together this whole team? Still not having an answer for LeBron. Are we blaming LeBron?
I'm blaming.
Choose one.
Man, honestly, we can't even choose one.
Who deserves the most blame?
I'll go honestly, who deserves the most blame is a combination of Coach Casey.
Oh, you said one, man. You said one, man.
Okay,
I'll only allow you to pair. I'll only allow you to pair Kyle and DeMar as a duo, as the superstars.
Okay, so Kyle and DeMar, that's my one. Because of last year, listen, that press conference is going to come back to bite them, and I know that's going to be that's a meme on Instagram right now, probably as we speak. Mm-hmm. But listen, man, you can't show your competition that you respect them, let alone fear them.
Yeah.
And I think that Kyle and DeMar showed both of that, respect and fear.
What
And you can't do that.
What Ola's talking about for people who might not know, and I'm surprised it didn't get as much play heading into this series or during this series as much as I thought it would have anyways. But what Ola's talking about is we talked about it all season long on the Ball on Blast podcast and even on our post-game shows early on. But if you go back to the end of last year in the playoffs, when the Cavs were just dominating the Raptors again and Kyle Lowry was hurt, during that series, there were quotes from DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry basically worshiping LeBron James, talking about how, well, they had LeBron and we didn't. If we had LeBron, we would have won too. Just things that are kind of like not what you want to hear.
As a competitor.
Yeah, not what you want to hear from the leaders of your team. And in my mind, those quotes from last year's playoffs always stuck with me. And nothing that happened in this playoffs changed that.
You can't go to war. You can't go to war with guys like that.
That told me they didn't believe that they could beat LeBron James. And all we've seen from how this series played out, they just played the stat. They showed the stat at the end of the Raptors broadcast, right? And the stat was that LeBron James finished this series with 138 points. Kyle Lowry and DeMar combined finished with 136.
Trash.
That means Kyle and DeMar were outscored in this series by LeBron alone. That is completely unacceptable. So, I mean, to answer my own question, I guess, when we're talking about the blame game, I'm with you, Foots. I'm going with I have to blame Kyle and DeMar because when I look at what happened since then, those are your two All-Stars again. They both got paid. They both ended up taking less minutes, but with the hopes that they're being more well-rested. They both, average, DeMar at least averaged a lot more assists this year, career high in assists. But everything was set up to make things easier for these guys, but also so that they had enough left in the tank for this time of year, for this battle against that man, LeBron James, and especially DeMar DeRozan, nowhere to be found. After getting benched in the fourth quarter of Game 3, you get ejected in the third quarter, at the end of the third quarter of Game 4.
Yeah.
This guy finished the series with 66 shots for 67 points. Think about that for a second. DeMar DeRozan finished the series 66 shots for 67 points.
And if
That
you're
is
a real
unacceptable.
Ball player, if you played ball or had any type of played any type of sports, you know what he did at the end of the third was a cop out.
Yeah.
That's a
That's a
cop-out.
good call.
He looked at Clarkson. He said, "This is my opportunity to exit this
cop-out,
game.
man.
I'm taking it."
It's a
Because
frustration.
He didn't even make any type of argument, nothing.
Yeah.
He just sat there in the score clock and took that L.
Yeah.
I'm out.
It's
man.
it's
Can't be
just a
doing that
sad thing. Like, are you Q? What do you think? Who are you blaming for this as well? Are you sticking with DeMar and Kyle? Are you going with Coach Casey? What are you thinking here?
I'm gonna break up the tandem and I'm gonna say DeMar DeRozan.
Okay,
That's all the blame.
all the blame.
First off, I know Lowry made the All-Star team and he's the so-called heart of our team and and he got paid and all that.
First off, I'm going to
But I
say
was
Q.
a-
You sound real sad right now.
Yeah,
You're not your normal jovial, upbeat
Right.
self right now. You're hurt right now. But I think you're representing the Raps fan base.
No, I don't want to represent them. I'm not.
See how quick he's off that?
No, you know why? Because you're right. You're gonna see all these, what ifs and and the refs and and it's almost like just listening to the commentators at the end of the game, actually from the third quarter, already talking about the success of the season and
Yeah.
I just. What do you guys? What were you watching to even? I just want to separate myself from that.
Yeah,
because-
you know what? I know where you're going with this, and I think that for me too, listening and talking to Raptor fans, I'm like, wow, like the information that's flowed out by Raptors media is really troublesome sometimes,
Yeah.
I think. Because you listen to what Raptors fans are saying and the information that they're spewing back at you sometimes, and I'm like, what games are you watching? Like, what? And what I mean by that is I feel that Raptor fans overvalue OG. They overvalue Freddie. They overvalue these guys. And I think that they're good players. It's not a knock. But I just think I heard heading into this series, well, Siakam and OG can do a good job on LeBron. It's like, what does that mean? Like, who does a good job on LeBron? Nobody. So how are these two I was a rookie and a second-year guy, going to really slow down and stop LeBron? But yet that's what we were fed and people were told.
on top of the bad game plan. I mean,
Yeah. Casey got it. Casey,
I've been watching basketball and then specifically LeBron James play since 2003, and I have never seen a team play him up close as if you have to stop his jump shot first.
Like he's a sniper.
I've never seen it. I have never seen it. You know, and game one, he didn't have an extremely efficient game.
No, game one was his bad game.
Right?
Game two was the efficient game. Yeah.
Game two, yes, he torched you, but you know, you're playing against LeBron James, who is the best player on the planet, right? He's going to have games like that.
For sure.
And when he has games like that, you say, wow, and you move on. But you don't all of a sudden play him like he's like I mean I've been saying it for the last couple of games. They've been playing LeBron how they should be playing Kyle Korver, and playing Kyle Korver how they play LeBron. Like I don't understand how Kyle Korver is open for shots.
He's open.
Well, here's the thing too. Like we're talking about DeMar and DeMar struggles on the offensive end. I think a big problem in this series was DeMar at the defensive end
That
as
too,
well,
yeah.
right? Like
I think it's his all round game. His all round game. He didn't show up at all. And like I was saying, I put the blame on him because I didn't expect Kyle to come out here and give you 30 and be the Kyle from maybe what Kyle was 3-4 years ago, because he wasn't that all season. And I don't put that on the culture change. He's a year older. He's lost a step.
No, I go the other way, man. I go the other way because I feel like all these changes were made to benefit Kyle Lowry. We saw that he hit the most threes he's ever hit in his career. That's just from a better offensive game plan and more people being able to pass and create plays for Kyle. Kyle was rested because DeLon and Fred were thrusted into the lineup and playing more minutes. All these things were done to have Kyle Lowry fresh. And the only time I really saw Kyle Lowry ball out in this series was when DeMar was benched in Game 3, and then Kyle all of a sudden came out of nowhere balling. But you look at tonight, Kyle had, 5 points? That's unacceptable. You can't do that. The season on the line.
Yeah.
Yo, Kyle and DeMar were outplayed by JR, Korver, and George Hill.
Yeah.
That
But
can't be
and that's
Yo,
what I'm
man,
saying,
that's
because
a problem. That's a problem.
From the Pacers series, you guys remember the Pacers series, George Hill gives Kyle Lowry problems.
He does.
Yeah.
That's
Right?
true.
That's
facts.
That's
facts.
the gap between them is not that great.
It's not that great.
Right? So I
Not
did.
that big,
So
for
remember,
sure.
after game one, I was saying like DeMar's got to give you something in the vicinity of what LeBron gives you, and then all the other players on the team have to close that gap, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even see DeRozan attempt many shots.
That too, because
DeRozan.
he stepped into the key and seen LeBron, and you would have thought LeBron was Dikembe Mutombo.
Thank you.
Right?
And Cleveland has no shot block.
Now
And that's what I said. He's
Not
lost.
one. Tristan
Like,
Thompson didn't even play
forgot.
tonight,
He
dude.
forgot that he could dunk the ball.
Yeah, Tristan barely played tonight.
It's psychological now, guys.
It's all mental.
It's all mental now.
All mental.
Yeah, I'm
all mental.
So it sounds like
my biggest disappointment was DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, it sounds through consensus. We're putting a lot of the blame on Kyle and DeMar here as the two superstars. Am I wrong
I
there?
think it's a little bit more on DeMar.
A little more on DeMar
little
for
bit
sure.
more on
Yeah,
DeMar.
DeMar's numbers were nowhere to be found. His defensive end, like you talked about Korver. How many times is Kyle Korver going to back cut? And you know what? As much crushing as we do of the Raptors broadcast, I think Jack, one of the things he pointed out during the game that was really good actually was the fact that the Cavs don't do anything crazy.
They don't.
Right? Like, it's nothing special. They're not running any crazy plays. It's all basic basketball.
I was watching Rip Hamilton.
Yo, the Raptors overplay.
Just the way Kyle Korver was cutting to the basket.
Yeah.
Setting up
the way
the
he's
cuts.
setting up the cuts. I thought I was watching Rip Hamilton.
Yeah, right? They don't
just
do
thought that
anything
was
crazy. They don't do anything
man.
crazy. The way they run their offense is so smooth. It's so nice. And it's great basketball. And the problem to me with what you're getting from DeRozan is, and I know I bring up Russ a lot, but at least Russ goes down shooting. Russ was there, like,
Right.
you're leaving
Kobe
it all
was
out there on
shooting.
the floor. Kobe's leaving the full clip out
Yo,
there.
listen.
Right?
DeRozan should have talked to Mamba mentality and get that energy, man, because you can't leave the clip. You got to shoot, regardless of what it is. If you're going to go out like that, Kyle, put it up.
You got to
Go out with a
empty,
fight.
reload.
Go out with a
empty,
fight.
Reload.
You go out with a fight.
I watch
Guys
guys.
blazing, right?
I watch guys just sit there and just take it.
Yo, DeMar's last two games, meaning Game 3 and Game 4, he had 8 points and 13 points respectively. Like, that's not gonna cut it.
If I'm DeMar DeRozan,
That's not gonna cut it.
If I'm DeMar DeRozan, your season starts next week in the gym. Your season starts next week.
I don't.
Hit the gym,
I
bro.
mean, we know what his game is, though. So, and you're right. Every year he has improved and he's come back with something else to the arsenal. But I don't think that's his biggest problem right now. I don't think that's the Raptors' biggest problem.
Yeah.
It's not the actual game of basketball. It's having it up here, thinking you can walking into the series with some type of confidence.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, back to what you're saying, that it was only LeBron, and I don't think it was, because I think because of the success George Hill has had against the Raptors, plus Kyle Korver, Love, and JR were here last year and the year before, right? I think they all came in with this confidence, like I can do my thing against this team.
I think the Raptors
100%.
And Tyronn Lue ran with them.
I think the Raptors had that have that syndrome that back in the day when people used to fight Mike Tyson. Remember we used to fight Mike Tyson and have a game plan until you actually step in the ring with him?
Until you get punched
And
in
you
the face.
see what it really is?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is with the Raptors. And
Everybody has a game plan until they get punched in the face.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what it is.
Shout out to my guy LT in the chat right here. Sends a note that says the Raptors are the first seeded team in 49 years to be swept before the conference finals.
So how good is your conference now? As I keep on telling people.
The Raptors get swept out, and the Celtics are up 3-1 without their two best players.
Yeah. And
I don't know, man. It's a terrible thing. And okay, so we talked about Kyle and DeMar and their struggles, but someone else who's going to get a lot of blame, and it's going to come up in terms of what's wrong and what the move should be, is what's next. Let's start with Dwayne Casey. Have we seen the last of Dwayne Casey coaching the Toronto Raptors? Should they bring him back? What do you guys think? Should they bring him back?
I'm 50-50 with him.
Okay.
I'm 50-50. I think you bring him back if you can find the right coach. Stackhouse for the right offense, for the right defense. You got to have the right coach. You just
Man's
can't.
calling for a coach already.
You just can't put in any coach.
Are we calling for Stackhouse?
Stack, you know?
Shout out my man Damani Hendricks.
Exactly,
You know what it is
exactly.
already.
And if you can't find him, then you keep him. I'm 50-50, but if you got the right coach, you got the right replacement, bring someone else in. But from the looks of it, that's probably not going to happen. He's probably going to be there another year.
But what did you see from Dwayne Casey in this series? From what you've seen from Dwayne Casey in this series?
He's not a great offensive coach.
You know what? I don't think he was a great defensive coach in this series.
I mean, yeah.
In the series.
In this series.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
you
That's
know
fair. That's fair. I'll give you that.
and I think
I'll give you
there was a lot of overreactions.
Yeah.
Right?
Agreed.
Just like the, starting some of these lineups that we've never even seen play together.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you here, Q, and I'm going to say that what I really think went down, if we really break it down here, and I'm messing up the camera, is for those who don't know, if you're watching on the feed, on my phone, I'm like moving the camera around if you're seeing the camera move. Sometimes I get a little confused, and sometimes I mess that up, but I'm going to keep talking anyways. But we're talking about Dwayne Casey, and you said it, Q. I think that Tyronn Lue, he exposed Dwayne Casey in so many ways in this series. And I said it last time on the podcast, and I'll say it again. I really think the key for the Cavs this series started in Game 7. Started in Game 7 against the Pacers when they realized who are the guys that we can trust, who are the guys we're riding with. Mm-hmm. And they started from there and then adjusted. But they knew who their dudes were, what all these guys were capable of, and I'm talking about JR being able to knock in an open shot, Korver being able to knock in an open shot, Tristan to provide energy. They knew that, hey, for us to be successful long-term, we got to get Kevin Love going. Right. And those are all moves made by Tyronn Lue in terms of who was starting, in terms of our game plan right off the bat, let's get Kevin Love going. And then the biggest adjustment that's not getting nearly enough attention, he purposely would sit LeBron at the end of the first quarter to have LeBron play against a Raptors bench. Right. We know the Raptors' strength this whole season has been their bench, and they would they'd run teams out of the gym with their bench because their bench is better. You're not going to do that against LeBron, which is something, for the record, I've been saying for the entire season while everyone's telling me, no, the Raptors' depth. Your depth means nothing against LeBron James. Yep. Right? So Ty Lue, to me, was moving all the right chess pieces, but in comparison, Dwayne Casey was just reacting. And you can't be in the playoffs and starting three different starting lineups. Three different starting lineups, not even in the same, in 4 games. Yeah. Right? You can't do that. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me, right? And again, I'll go back to it, and I don't mean to pat myself on the back, even though it sounds like that's exactly what I'm doing. But hey, sometimes you got to let them know, right? I've been telling you guys for the whole season, you can't be on your your bench only means so much in the regular season. When it comes down to this to the playoffs,
Different
you
animal.
need to know who your guys are, and the Raptors still don't know who their best players are, right?
And I agree. And the fact that we have no superstar to get those superstar calls, that was an issue too. If you don't have a superstar, you got to outright beat that other team.
But what you were talking about before, you would bring up a guy like Lance, right? You would bring up a guy like Oladipo. Is Oladipo really a superstar?
No,
But he played like one. He had that mentality
He
like
had that
one.
mentality.
Kyle and
Yeah,
DeMar
I
did
think
not
that's
have
it.
that.
And I think
Kyle and DeMar did not have that.
I think, I mean, if
Swag and
if
confidence.
DeMar, and I know you're very critical of DeMar sometimes, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but if DeMar DeRozan isn't your superstar, then most of the league isn't a superstar.
For sure.
There might be only 5 or 6 players, right?
So that
I
means
think
we need
DeMar
more help.
DeRozan just
But
showed
you-
you
but
that he's
you-
not your
but you-
superstar.
Then he needs more help.
Also-
no, you're right. His play.
also,
but
hold on.
I mean,
Regular
where-
season
where does-
superstar.
Where does superstar? Like, if you're gonna rank players, where does superstar begin and end? Because DeMar DeRozan is a top 20 player in the NBA.
Okay.
Maybe
I
top
mean,
15.
I'm not going to say
and there's maybe 8 to 10 superstars in the NBA.
Okay, but everybody can't have a superstar.
I
I mean, you
understand
can't
that.
just go out and get a
So
superstar.
so DeMar needs more help. Raptor
Yeah.
fans, DeMar DeRozan needs more help.
Right.
I don't know where that's gonna come from.
But what-
Maybe some veteran toughness to protect our quote unquote.
Messiah gotta go spend the money.
superstar,
Messiah
whatever
gotta
you
go
wanna
spend the
call it.
money on someone.
the money's been spent. That's the thing. The money's
Yeah,
been
the money's
spent. It
spent,
wasn't-
man.
And let's keep this in mind.
Maybe
We
it
had
wasn't spent.
PJ Tucker last year.
PJ Tucker chose to leave.
Yeah, PJ Tucker.
PJ
wanted
Tucker's
out. He
not.
left.
I mean, is that
You
help?
gotta-
But
It-
are you
that's help
noticing?
on one end.
Are you noticing that a tough guy that possibly could have helped us this year just up and decided not to return, even though he was a part of the sweep last year too?
So he's seen something. He must have
I've
seen
been
something.
saying that. He knew.
He must have
must have
seen
seen
something.
something.
He knew. He
Must have
knew.
seen
We
something.
talked about it before, right?
Yeah,
PJ
yeah,
Tucker
yeah.
was in the Raptors locker room calling team meetings like a week after he joined the team. Right? Like, he knew there was something about these dudes that they weren't ready. They weren't ready. He knew. Right? And like it's so frustrating in the sense that you watch what Kyle and DeMar, the improvements that they made during the season, and that's just basketball. But it's also on the flip side, the thing that I love the most about sports. Because as much as we always talk about stats and we get so focused in on breaking down statistics and breaking down all these things, at the end of the day, it's about nuts, right? And some guys want it and some guys don't in the moment. And it's just that simple. And so you could have all the stats in the world and finish first in the regular season and lead the league in this and finish that and whatever. But when it comes down to the come down,
They don't
we
have
saw
it.
Kyle and
I'll give you-
DeMar
I'll give you-
don't
And
want
I
it.
think that's the thing. That's the thing I was trying to get to is DeMar DeRozan, other than James Harden, goes to the line more than any other player in the NBA. So he just has to have the balls to say, "I'm going to the bucket.
Every possession.
I'm either going to score on you or I'm going to get that whistle." And that is what I did not see. And my biggest disappointment with him is he would. I mean, J.R. Smith is their best defense against him.
He played very passive.
But J.R. Smith didn't lock DeRozan down. DeRozan got into the lane. DeRozan got wherever he wanted to go.
You know what? You're
But
right.
once he stepped into that lane
he got shook.
and seen LeBron, like LeBron's the Kemba Mutombo. He's like, I'm going to get my shot blocked. I'm not going to go in there and he dish the ball away. And
Yeah.
And Q, you're right.
that's this whole series right there.
You're right. I want to see. You know what I want to see though. That point was perfect, Q. I want to see a veteran come in like Ronald's doing with Anthony Davis. He's telling them that he's great.
Yup.
You're the best big man on the floor, even though they're gonna lose to Golden State. But I like the fact that there's a veteran telling the next player, "Listen, you're the best guy here.
Yo,
You're the
man.
great." I think DeMar
let's
needs to
keep
hear
it-
that.
Let's keep it 100 though.
I think DeMar needs to hear that from somebody other than Kyle Lowry.
That's supposed to
at
be
this
Lowry
point.
and Surge, man.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be Lowry and Surge.
Then we got to ship. We got to ship
You gotta
them.
ship
Right?
one
Like,
of
no,
them.
but
Let's
I'm
be
just saying,
honest.
like,
One of them
that's
gotta
what it's
go.
supposed to
One
be.
of them
You're
has
right.
to go.
That's
One of them
right.
has to go.
But I think can't just be a veteran. It has to be somebody who accomplished something, right? Because
Thank you.
because Draymond does the same thing with KD.
Majority
right?
of majority of veterans,
But
but
if you have-
majority of people who accomplish something in the NBA are going to be veterans.
Yo, the
right?
last
Yeah, I agree, but it can't be any veteran. What I'm saying is,
sure.
What I'm saying is, Draymond has a
Draymond-
status. and
Draymond just did that.
Draymond has some success where Draymond does that to KD, and obviously KD's the better player.
Draymond just
Rondo
recently
has a
did
ring
that.
with Boston.
Rondo
He's
has a
doing
ring.
that with
Rondo,
Anthony
right?
Davis.
Rondo can
So
say,
maybe
"This
bringing
is what
somebody
Paul
in
Pierce
with
this
a
is."
ring
Yep.
might
After-
change the perspective and the
that
outlook
would.
on the Raptors.
After that one game that the Pelicans won against Golden State, apparently Draymond called or he texted like Durant like at 4 in the morning, and he ripped him. Not ripped him in a very positive way. You know what Durant said? He said, "I got you next game." Came out and look what happened.
And he did.
That was a
He
4
responded.
a.m. phone call or text or something. Yeah. I
That's
saw
how
that.
it should be. We need something. We need one or
Raptors
two
lack
players
leadership.
Like that.
But I don't really think
Leadership.
there's
There
not
it is.
there's not. I mean, every team would love to have a Kevin Garnett on their bench, but there's not.
Let's
that
call
many.
a spade, though. I'm not giving $30 million a year, a max contract, to two dudes that I'm not sure are the leaders of my franchise. Like, it's fine if you're the All-Stars, and I've said this from before, and maybe I'd be the worst GM in the league, probably would be. But I'm looking at dudes, and I'm not giving you a max contract if you're not a max player, period. If you want to go somewhere else and get that dough, hey, again, there are receipts. You can go on Twitter and see. I had a long argument with two of my boys. I don't know if they're watching right now, but two of my dudes I work with, one is Tristan, and the other guy is Mark McDonald. We had the huge argument last offseason, and I said, would you rather pay Jeff Teague? What was it? It was like Jeff Teague for half of what Kyle Lowry was making, right? Do you want to pay Jeff Teague for half the dough, or do you want to pay Kyle Lowry for all the dough? Now, we all know twice as much money. And basically the argument was, well, Kyle Lowry's twice as good as Jeff Teague. I'm like, no, he's not.
No, he's not.
We know that's not true. He's
What
better
planet-
than
what
he's
planet
better
are we
than Jeff
living on
Teague.
right
He's
now?
better than Jeff Teague.
Yeah, he's better than him.
But he's not worth double the money of Jeff Teague.
thank you.
And now and to me, the bigger point even goes before that. You let Lowry walk. You roll with Kojo, Fred, and DeLon. You know that some three of that was going to work, but you know that you're going to need that $30 million somewhere else. Because especially if the end result is just losing to LeBron anyways.
And that was, and anybody who's had these conversations with me last offseason, that was exactly what I said. I'm not giving him the max contract.
I think we all said that.
You're in a tough spot now, right?
But-
like,
but
what
I-
do you
but
do? You
again-
can't, you
but
can't trade
again-
Lowry.
but again,
Yo,
you're right.
look at this. Sorry, we're watching Dwayne Casey's presser right now. There's a board up that says Lowry had 5 points, 2 of 7 shooting. What, your season on
Cop
the line?
out. Cop out.
What?
Now on, Kyle Lowry's nickname is Cop out.
Valanciunas had the same amount of points as DeRozan and Lowry in half the
Combined.
minutes.
I think next year they gotta.
DeLon had 10 points.
They gotta
you
find
go.
a way to get
Sadistic.
Valanciunas in the offense more next year.
But
I
here's
don't
the
know,
thing.
we say that
But
every
here's the thing, man. We say that
Because-
every
say
single
that
year.
every
You're
year.
right.
This guy's putting up numbers.
And that's
putting up
that's-
numbers.
And that's what I was saying about the overreactions because game 1, he was our most effective player. He's 21 and 21.
Exactly. And they
Right?
went away from it.
And they went
took
away
him
from
out of
him.
the starting lineup.
They took him out of the
They went
starting
away
lineup.
from him because of Kevin Love.
They're too busy reacting to what Cleveland did.
instead of playing their game plan.
But Kevin
Slow
Love
the ball down.
wasn't even shooting threes. So you can go bucket for bucket, Valanciunas for Kevin Love,
All
and you're
game.
not down.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Slow the ball down. Cleveland wants to play the up and down game with us. Slow the ball down.
I think
Get the
whatever
ball.
whatever the tempo was, though, the biggest problem was they let LeBron control
Control
the
the
tempo.
tempo.
If LeBron wanted to rest, and so LeBron wanted to play slow, then LeBron was going to play slow, right? If LeBron wanted to speed things up because he wanted to get Korver an open shot or he wanted to get JR an open shot, then LeBron sped it up and went.
You stop that, don't you? I mean,
Yo,
LeBron's their point guard. Do you not pick him up full
Hold
court?
on. The Raptors couldn't even figure out how to. You have 8 seconds left in the game, and it's a tie game. How on earth do you let LeBron James catch the ball? You clearly have two people double team LeBron James, so he can't catch the ball. And the best explanation I've heard was that the Raptors got confused because Ty Lue, again, another adjustment, decided to inbound the ball full court and let LeBron get a full head of steam.
Either
Like,
way,
come on, man.
Either way, wherever in the world LeBron James, if he does catch the ball, wherever in the world LeBron James is at that point, front court, back court, China, India,
Double.
wherever it is,
Double team,
you get the ball out of his hands.
To the ball
We
in his
watch.
hands, man.
How much times you watch basketball? Do you want Michael Jordan taking that shot? Do you want Kobe taking that shot? You don't want these guys taking that shot.
Yeah, and it's not even like LeBron did something crazy to like, some crazy V cut or something to get wide open or whatever. Like Siakam literally just left him, right? And then
Double team didn't come. I don't remember the double. It was Anunoby was on him.
Anunoby was on him, but Siakam was supposed to double team.
Right.
And do you really think that Kevin Love getting the ball in 8 seconds is getting down the court and getting a good shot off?
No.
Thank you.
Not a chance.
I don't know, man. It's just
It's
bad
those
execution up and down. And what I want to see here, because the next few days we're gonna see, the Raptors are gonna hold their press conference and the media's gonna write a bunch of stories, and there's gonna be some people out there that are gonna say, well, don't overreact to what happened in the series because it's not that bad. I'm here to tell you that it is that bad.
It is that bad.
And it
It's
is that
horrible,
bad
man.
when you're marking yourself up to LeBron James. Okay, so I want you to follow me for a second, guys, because I feel that another issue is people needed to manage their expectations. Webby will tell you, one thing we talked about the whole year was, listen, Raptor fans, if you lose to the Cavs again, the season is not to me, the season is not a disappointment as long as you can say, hey, we built a legitimate program where we can interchange our parts and dudes will be successful during the regular season. Now, getting playoff success, that's a different hurdle that you need to climb at some other point. But the point is that you're building a program that'll work with or without Kyle and DeMar, right? You can interchange players and you're still going to have some semblance of success. See what the Spurs did this year without Kawhi. Do you know what I mean? The Raptors did a good job of that. DeMar improved again. DeMar averaged the most assists that he's ever averaged in a season. You had the most wins in franchise history. You did all these things that were good. So there is some positives there. My mindset wasn't that you were ever going to beat Cleveland. So to me, it's not a disappointment. I never thought you were going to beat Cleveland. From last year, I never thought that. So to me, it's not like this mass disappointment because at least you can say, you know what? Our scouting is all right because DeLon looks like at least he's a rotation guy. Siakam's a rotation guy. Pirtle's a rotation guy. You're doing a good job in scouting and developing your young bucks, your young gunners. You changed your whole offense to finally get into the 2018 of space and pace basketball. All these things are positives that you can take from this season. Now, the fact that you still can't beat LeBron, well, hey, tough shit. There's a whole conference. There's a whole crappy Eastern Conference that hasn't beaten LeBron in 8 years. So,
But I think that's the problem. And you're right about the first half of what you said was right.
did you think they were going to beat the Cavs?
There was definitely improvements. There was definitely some sustainability that Masai has brought into this team.
Mhm.
So I completely agree with you there. My disappointment does not come from the loss to LeBron James and the Cavs. It comes from the display against LeBron James and the Cavs.
I'm seeing another comment here from the post that seems to agree with you. It says, but losing and being swept are two different things, no?
Definitely.
And again, it's not even the sweep. It's not even the 4-game
How they got
sweep.
swept.
It is those games. 2 blowouts.
Yeah.
1 cough up.
And
they
one
cough up the game.
And one, let's be serious. Yeah, they shit their pants in game 1.
Right.
Right,
And then you get blown out in game 2. You get blown out in game 4. And game 3, you came out again with no fight.
Yeah.
Kyle didn't decide, hey, let's go out swinging until midway through the third quarter of game 3. And you made a miraculous comeback.
And
but
DeMar was benched.
DeMar's on the bench.
Is
And
Casey gone now for sure?
The lack of effort and the lack of heart it puts a big question mark on the Raptors moving forward.
What does it
my
say?
personal
What does
opinion.
it say about DeMar though? The fact that you get benched, you're obviously pissed about that, right? But your coach benches you with the season on the line, and then you come out and still have another bad game after that. What does that tell you about DeMar DeRozan that
in his skin.
you might have not known beforehand? Because we talked about it. There's all year I've said there's levels to this shit, right? There's levels between DeMar and Kyle superstar and LeBron superstar and KD superstar and Russ superstar, right? There's levels. Is DeMar DeRozan even like a tick down from what we thought he was? Or is it just a thing where, okay, well, maybe he can't be the best player on a championship team. He needs to be the second best or the third best player on a championship team. Is that a thing that is that where you think we are?
He's a
I
couple
don't
ticks
really
down.
like. Sorry, you want to go for it?
He's a couple ticks down because he didn't come out and respond.
At
You gotta
all.
come out and respond, point blank. You gotta come out
Yeah.
and drop at least 30. At least. I think Ola said it before, like Paul Pierce and those guys are saying. in this regular season, you're gonna if you average like 20 or 25 points,
Yeah.
that has to go up an extra 5 or
sure.
8 points in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And it never happened.
That's what it is. The greats, he wants to be one of the greats. He wants to be the superstars. The superstars respond.
Yeah.
You cannot bench a superstar the game before and not expect him to respond the next game. That's just what it is. He didn't do that. So he's got a lot of soul searching to do.
Q.
So I think definitely, I don't think it's basketball talent. So I don't think he's a notch. I'm not going to look at DeMar DeRozan and say you're not as good of a basketball player as I thought you were. I think it's strictly a character and mentality thing.
Okay.
With him, and maybe it's not getting in the gym. Maybe it's going to see a therapist or something. Getting right mentally, because like you said, you have bad games. Bad games happen. They shouldn't happen in the playoffs. In a series like this, the greats don't. It doesn't happen like that, right?
It's not supposed to happen.
It's not supposed to happen. But again, sometimes bad game. You don't know what's going on in the man's life or whatever. Who knows? Right? I'm not even going to speculate. But coming back to this game, I thought we were at least. If you miss shots, you miss shots. But I thought I was at least going to see you take those shots.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, DeMar?
Right? You watched that game. Sorry, you watched that game yesterday, and be like, I should have took that shot, or I should have took that shot. Maybe I should have passed here. Maybe I should. You analyze that, and then you come back in Game 4, and you make those corrections. And we didn't see none of that. So that's my problem. Where I think it's all in their heads.
I think you know what? To be honest, when we watch the Raptors, we know this has been years. We've had DeMar for 10 years now. He's improved every year, and I'll give him that. We paid him the bag. We've invested in him. I love it. And I want him. And honestly, I'm not even talking about him being shipped, to be honest with you. Right? Because he's improved. We invested.
Yep.
He's a great player. He learns every year. So I know he's going to take this L right now, and he's going to learn. And he's going to get better for next year.
Yeah.
But we all know at the same time, too, that he's not a dog.
Yeah.
He doesn't have it,
He doesn't, he like, those dogs, you don't got to tell them to take their shots.
No.
Yeah.
You don't tell them to go hard. They naturally go hard.
Nothing needs to be said.
Nothing needs to be said. So me personally, my personal opinion for the Raptors moving forward, DeMar clearly needs more help.
You got to bring in a vet
And
with
it
him.
has to be older, experienced players. I don't know where you're gonna get them. It has to be older, experienced players because there's a gap between our young guys. And then there are older then the older guys on the team.
So let me ask you something.
The Surge and the DeRozans and the and Lowrys and such and such.
Let me ask you something. Do you blow this team up?
No.
And
No, I
mean,
say
by
you
blow this team
tweak
up.
it.
By blow this team up, I mean you're getting rid of your core. I'm talking like Kyle and DeMar. By blow it up to me, what blow it up to me means is you're getting rid of either Kyle or DeMar. Or I guess Serge is that next person, unfortunately.
I was just about to say.
I'm trying to think,
I
who is
say
that next person?
It's either
Collar Surge.
Kyle or Surge.
So you
Collar
keep
Surge.
DeMar.
Yep.
You keep
DeMar
DeMar
and fit the pieces around him.
and you fit the pieces around him because you've already invested. We're 10 years in with
It's
him.
gonna be tough though, man. I mean, Masai is a wizard. Obviously, we know that. Masai's been able to trade Andrea Bargnani. Masai's been able to trade Rudy Gay. Masai's been able to do things that a lot of people would have deemed impossible before. So, I mean, to say, can he get rid of Serge? Can he get rid of Kyle? It seems tough, but if there's a guy who we would trust to do it, it's Masai Ujiri, right? And I think it's interesting to see because I don't think you blow it up. I still think you keep DeRozan as a face of your franchise, in terms of your homegrown guy, you've had him forever, your all-stars, all that stuff. The problem is you need more out of your second and third guys. And I've always thought this, even when you go back to the old salary cap in the NBA, you're allowed to make a mistake on your max contract, your one max contract. You can make a mistake on that. Yeah. To me, what kills you is the second tier contract. You can't mess those up. And Serge right now, you're not getting nearly enough out of Serge Ibaka. And I think that's where the Raptors end up screwing themselves, right? Because now
they've done it over and over again.
For sure. They've done it. I mean, if you go back to the Chris Bosh years, right? Like you signed Jose Calderon to a big time deal. You signed Bargnani again to a big deal.
Sheesh.
But,
No,
I'm,
but
I'm talking about like even Damari Carroll, right? And to correct that, you had to like give up your whole
Yeah, that's
draft
another
this
thing.
year.
They
right?
have no draft picks this year, right? That's a big problem as well in a deep draft, and maybe you can flip someone and get a draft pick back. Hopefully, I don't know. Masai's got work ahead of him, right? Because I
He's
don't
got
like.
a lot of work.
What
man.
if they bring
He's got a
back
lot
the
of
same
work.
team with minor tweaks? And I'm gonna say a minor tweak is how they added C.J. Miles, right? Like I'd say that's a minor tweak, right? They traded Corey, got C.J. Miles. That was a minor tweak they made last season. What if they just made more of those this offseason? Is that enough change for you to see heading into next season? Would that make you happy? Would that make you satisfied? Oh, wow. Look at these guys at the press
You like
What is wrong with this
See,
guy?
this is Kyle. This is
it's a joke thing.
Lowry.
with
It's
this
a
guy.
joke thing.
It's a joke
That's why
thing
I
with
can't
Kyle
rate
Lowry.
these guys.
It's a
I
joke
can't
thing,
rate that.
man. This guy's laughing at the
Sorry,
podium.
Kyle Lowry just came up to the,
Like- and like
to
not-
the
not to-
podium,
not-
and he has
not
his
to-
hat like low.
Not to go back to DeMar, but like
Yeah.
I know I've read things that he was dealing with a lot
this offseason.
this
Yeah,
offseason. Even going to his pops and stuff,
yeah.
mental depression. So you know
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Automatically, I'm gonna give him a pass for that.
That's fair.
I'm giving him a pass for that.
That's fair.
That's on another
That's real
level,
life
you know?
shit.
That's real
That's
life
fair.
shit.
That's
You
fair.
know, and that's hard. That's hard to focus. You know, but like this guy Kyle Lowry's on the podium laughing. Look at him with his hat down. I'll trade this guy.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing right now. His hat, like, I don't. He just looks like a. Yeah. Anyways, I
I think
don't.
that's it, right? Because I mean, he's there, like, kind of like, well, don't ask me no questions. But you should, that's the thing. He should be asked questions. And we're like, how come Stephen A. Smith and those guys aren't here asking questions? Because
'Cause,
again,
hold
these
on.
guys,
Here's the
these
thing.
guys get a pass.
Here's the thing, though. Raptor fans for the whole year, and I don't want to bash on Raptors fans, but I just want to make you accountable for the fact that you whined when you didn't get Christmas Day games. You whined about, like, who starts in the All-Star game.
Fact.
You whine about a playoff game last week being on at 6 o'clock.
Fact.
You whine when, oh, no American media talks about our team
Fact.
ever. Then when they do start talking about your team, but you don't like what they have to say about your team, then you whine about that as well. Are people going to apologize to the Stephen A. Smiths, to the Colin Cowards, to the Skip Baylesses, who the whole time are clowning the Raptors, saying that they don't take them seriously? Right? Like, these are things that happen. And also, the reason I bring that up is because those guys watch other basketball teams play.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not just watching Raptor games.
Would you guys be surprised if Kyle Lowry asked for a trade?
Yes.
I'd be
Because I think he loves off DeRozan too much. And the only way it turns for Kyle Lowry where he would ask for a trade, I think, is if the media
Turns on him.
goes in on him. And
They're gonna
I
go
think,
in.
Yep.
no, but I think, no. The media is already shook of Kyle Lowry. Like the guys that cover Kyle Lowry every day, and maybe shook isn't the right term I should use. I'll back up off that for a second. But Kyle Lowry has them on manners. I'll say that. Meaning that they don't, like, it's not worth it for them to deal with salty Lowry on an everyday basis. Maybe you might get some of that now
So
because
they
it's
don't
the
ask
end of
him.
the year
So they don't
presser.
ask him the tough questions. Essentially,
And I think also
They
I think
do,
also
but
they
you
don't
they
wanna
tap
make-
dance around it.
Yeah, because it's not worth the fight. It's not like, look at this guy. Look at
Company man
look at this
answers.
guy's buddy.
His
Look at
body
this guy's
questions.
body language. It's just terrible right now. It's very immature as he's sitting at the
This
podium.
guy's like a 5-year-old kid in the principal's office, right?
right? And it's like, yo, you didn't ball.
Thank you.
Right? Like,
that's- that's
you don't
all
get to
it comes
come
down
out and sulk at the podium and look like a little kid when you didn't ball
And you know
out.
what? It's crazy to me because I feel like if you just come out like a man and just own up to yours
See, I didn't play well. I didn't
and just say
ball.
you didn't play well,
Keep it a
it's
buck.
a lot
Keep
easier.
it a buck. It's 100. It's
Everybody
100,
will
man.
respect you.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. And again,
And I think, sorry, just sorry to cut you
No,
off,
no,
but I think that's kind of what DeRozan did by not coming out with Kyle
last night.
last
Last
night,
night.
Last
because
game,
I
sorry.
think he wanted to be like, no, it's not on us. This one was on me. I'm gonna come out and face these questions on my own.
That's
And
it.
I think
fair.
that's
And he didn't throw Coach
think-
Casey under the bus.
and I
Nobody,
think that
no
that's,
personnel.
that's showing
I
a bit,
rate that.
a bit more maturity than what we just seen.
If
from-
you
from
were
Kyle.
DeMar DeRozan in DeMar DeRozan's shoes, a superstar of that team, and you get benched with the season on the line in Game 3, would you hold that against Coach Casey?
Nah, that's basketball.
No,
if you're
that's
him,
basketball.
if
I
you're
didn't
in his
perform.
shoes,
That's
like
basketball.
we don't know what their
I
relationships
didn't
are, but
perform.
I'm
I
saying
didn't
like if
perform.
that's
That's basketball.
you in that DeMar DeRozan situation.
No.
That's basketball, but that's sports in general.
Okay.
If you don't perform, you're not playing.
Okay.
You're not at that Jordan, LeBron,
Level.
KD level.
But
yet.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's the fact that the Raptors made that run. If after I go out the lead is expanded and we get blown out,
Yeah.
then maybe you say, coach, this is my team.
Yo, easy
This
on the
is my
table,
team.
yo.
I should have been in there.
Yeah.
But also
Right?
but also when they went on that run, they went down. So
Yeah.
do you put him in to let him catch his rhythm for maybe 2-3 minutes?
No, not at that. At that
Exactly.
point,
You gotta keep him
again,
out.
this is hindsight, but at that point,
Yeah.
I think Casey made the right
Yeah,
call.
that's the right.
I think now if
that was
if
his
that game
best
goes
coaching decision.
if that game goes into overtime,
Yeah.
Bring him
I
in.
think he
You bring him
starts
in.
the
Yeah,
overtime
for
and,
sure,
and
for
he's
sure.
on a short leash.
For sure, for sure.
One of the veteran leadership, either Coach, Serge, or Kyle, one of those three, like they gotta go. One of them has to get X.
Yeah,
Has to
someone
get
has to
voted.
take the fall for
Someone
this,
has to
right?
take the fall for it.
You got swept. You got embarrassed against a Cavs.
One of those three
Somebody
have
has to take the fall because I feel like as fans and as a media, you should not tolerate this. And as fans, and I say this a lot in dealing with the Blue Jays, like I'm able to separate things of how I look at situations, A, as a fan, and two, as someone who, might comment on sports. You know what I mean? Like I work as an associate producer on a sports television show. So I'm able to separate those two things, right? And I'm saying as a fan, sometimes I need the people in charge of the teams I root for to trick me. Pretend like you're trying to make a change. Pretend like you're trying to improve. Just show me a little. And I'm saying as a fan, and I know that sounds completely irrational, right? but I'm saying like,
definitely.
yo, somebody needs
Show
to
me
take.
that you care.
Yeah, somebody needs to take the fall.
Somebody has to take the fall.
Give me the press conference where you're saying, hey, how we ended this series was unacceptable.
I think we'll get that. I think the play of Kyle and DeMar may save Dwayne Casey's job.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's interesting.
Right?
It's
Because
interesting.
you can't listen. I mean, when you asked us who gets the most blame, none of us said Casey.
True.
Because of the play of Kyle and DeMar.
Yeah.
So I think that paired with the regular season and the fact that again he might win Coach of the Year or he's definitely probably going to be like one of the top 3 vote getters for Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Right? He might even
He'll
win.
get some votes.
Most
Right?
definitely.
So all of that combined, I think that will save his job. Now he might get that same short leash like Sam Mitchell,
Yeah.
but I think he's our coach going into next season.
So the other part, though, is we know that Kim and Kyle have always had a kind of a testy relationship. Maybe the benching of DeRozan. Like, I was very impressed with the fact that KC benched DeMar because that showed me a lot. That showed me that he, to use the term again, had the balls to say, hey, I don't care about what's happening long term. I don't care if this costs me my job. I'm doing what I think is best in the moment right now for our team, and we've been struggling to find any answers at all. Right. I'm going to ride it out with this group. Sorry, Beals, I cut you off. What were you going to say, man?
Honestly, I think now I really think about it. I think if you're the Raptors, you keep a certain core 5 or 6, and you make some tweaks. But you get one more year.
Yeah.
You give it one more year, and that's.
I mean, I
The
think
problem,
they
though,
only
it'll
had,
be
they
even-
only had 2-3 years anyway, right?
Yeah.
That's why Kyle, Serge, CJ Miles only got 3-year deals and not 5.
You're keeping this
I
group.
think you give it one more year, and that's it.
What about Freddie? Do you re-sign Freddie for sure?
I don't know.
Even if it means going into the tax? Because Raptors are close. So they could make moves to, like, just get under. You'd probably have to shed someone, like, probably get rid of JV or something like that to maybe make the numbers work, or definitely get rid of Serge or something like that. But
How about we
More-
get rid of Bebe?
he's already
He's a
gone
free
anyways. I
agent.
think he's a free
He's a
agent.
free agent. And he don't make
Yo,
no money
what was
anyway.
with the random Bebe minutes?
Yeah,
Those are
that-
the one things I'll say about
How you
Casey.
play
That
Bebe
was-
over?
that was-
How you
that
play
was-
Bebe
Over anybody.
over Norm?
Yo, Bebe looked like he was shook out there too.
Yeah.
Like he looked
Didn't belong.
scared.
But
was
if you think
confused.
about it, the man hasn't played basketball in 2 months. and now,
Meaningful
that was-
basketball, right?
right?
Meaningful.
He
No, he
played-
hasn't played
no,
any
No,
basketball.
He played for in the Washington series. I remember he subbed in the Washington
yeah,
series
yeah, some
because I was like,
first
yeah,
year,
and I was
you're
like, why is Bebe playing right now?
But my thing is, again, the series was over. Right, you're already getting blown out in Game 4. So I think you have to have your eyes kind of on next year. So
Yeah.
my thing is, why not give Pirtle those minutes? Because Pirtle didn't play at all in Game 3 or
Yeah,
up
he
to
did
that
play a
point.
lot, yeah.
So before you go to the Bebe, why would you not give Pirtle some playoff minutes? I mean, that's the only way he's going to learn and
He's not
improve
playing bad.
and learn how to play playoff basketball is to play in the playoffs.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
So that move didn't make no sense to me. When DeRozan got ejected, they went to Norm Powell.
Finally,
It's a
right?
disrespect.
Right?
they finally went to Norm.
Finally went to
Free up.
Norm.
Finally, free up.
You know, I think at that,
Man
and I
like
think
Norm.
at that point, I don't maybe no, I think they brought DeLon out too, but they put Kyle on the bench. But it just didn't make no sense to me to give him those like the garbage minutes at the end, sure, but not if those guys aren't part of your future. Why are you even giving them playoff
Yeah,
minutes?
I don't. I
Y'all-
never.
Y'all are
understood
too
the-
nice, man. Y'all letting Casey return and stuff. Like I'm not even giving him that play.
Say
He
you want
didn't
him outta
use.
here.
I
He
didn't-
didn't
I didn't
use.
say-
him out of
Listen,
here.
he
I
want
didn't
him out
say-
right now.
I didn't
He
say-
didn't use all the tools in the coaching tool belt
He
this
didn't, he
series.
didn't, he didn't.
even play zone. Come
I
on,
didn't-
guys.
I
What we
didn't say-
talking
no, no,
about
no,
He
here?
didn't even
no,
double.
fact.
He didn't even double.
He didn't even
LeBron,
double
really.
team LeBron.
Really.
I didn't say that I would keep him. I said the fact that when you're looking at it, and people are going to say, "Well, it's not on the coach. He wasn't on the court." So our two stars didn't show up in the playoffs,
For sure.
except for Kyle for like
So you're going down pecking order.
a quarter and a half.
Yeah,
right?
you're
But
going
So I
pecking
think
order.
so. I think if you put the blame on them, how we put the blame on the players first, it might save Casey's job.
Hold on, but we know that in sports, the way that it works most of the time is
Right.
the players stay, the coaches go.
In professional sports, yes.
That's normally how it goes. Have we seen the? You want to see Casey gone, Foots?
He's
You think he's the guy? He's the fall guy here?
for sure.
I think it might be him too. 'Cause
No,
I just
well,
think
if
I
you're
just think
asking
that's
me,
an
I
easier.
want-
you want him gone?
I want Coach and Kyle Ship.
Ooh,
That's
okay.
where I'm going with.
Major
Get them
changes.
both out of here.
I want major.
Okay, major
What are we-
changes.
What are we waiting for
What
here?
are we playing
Major
around
changes.
for?
I
Let's
just
get 'em
think.
outta
I
here.
just think. I mean, going back to what you said about what could you really get for them. I just think that. I mean, we already have a 10-man deep rotation, right?
Yeah.
You can't make the Rudy Gay trade. We trade Rudy Gay and bring in
For a
five-
bunch of
and bring in
guys,
five
yeah.
guys.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So who we getting rid of?
So if you're trading a Surge, it's going to be or a Kyle, it's going to be for one or two players. And where are you getting the value back from them?
It's tough.
So we getting rid of Kyle or we getting rid of Serge?
I mean,
I think you got to see
you
got to see who's available,
If-
man. If I'm a side, putting out feelers to see what I can get for both
Yeah,
of them.
for sure, definitely.
Because at the end of the day, the real tough part here is I don't think that, again, for the press conference, for what you're trying to sell to your fans and what you'll sell to the media that'll gobble up whatever you put out, you can't come back with the exact same squad. You got to come back next season with at least a new coach. You got to come back with, okay, we got rid of Surge and we're gonna bring in a new piece that's not Surge, and we're gonna start the kids. Or you got to make some tweak that involves Kyle, DeMar, Surge, JV, or Casey. You got to make some change like that because you can't come back with the exact same squad next year and have people convinced that you're trying to win the East.
Well, you already don't have me convinced. I mean, I think we already because we already talked about this in the last podcast. When you look at next year, that number one seed is going to be hard to get. Cleveland has a lottery pick.
Thank you. Boston has
Right?
perfect-
Boston
has a lot of them.
Boston has
A couple of them.
Kyrie and Gordon Hayward coming back. Plus, look what they're already doing without those two guys.
And the
Right?
draft picks they still have.
Philly has a draft. No, I don't think they have first.
They don't have
They
first.
don't, not
Boston
one,
don't have first.
not one of the high ones because they're the ones
Then
that
they got
gave
one
it
of
to
the
Cleveland, right? So Philly has a lottery pick coming in. Plus, they're all going to be more experience coming in next year. So there's Indiana.
Yeah, the conference gets a
Their
gets
confidence
tougher.
is going to be
The
up.
Bucks should have a new coach that should
Oh,
be
the Bucks
somewhat
too.
smarter to
Sleep on
figure
the
things
Bucks.
out. Can't
So-
sleep on the Bucks heading into next year.
Raptors
Right?
and
Washington-
struggle next
Washington.
They're gonna do something. They're gonna do something. They have to. They have to blow up their team.
So the Eastern, unless LeBron, I mean, even if LeBron leaves and goes to the West, which I don't think will happen, you still aren't going to say, well, LeBron's gone, this is our year, because Boston is looking at it like, we're next. Yeah, we're next. I mean, really, truly, those young guys on Boston are going for LeBron this year, this week, next series, right?
Yeah.
So
Didn't I see
And I
something
guarantee
already?
6 or
They're
7
already
games
saying
in
they're
that.
ready for
They already
LeBron.
said-
Did I see that?
They
already?
they're already saying bring on LeBron.
Yeah, I
Those
saw
young boys are hungry. So.
They're gonna take LeBron to 6,
So
7
I,
games
so, I,
for
so
sure.
I definitely think some changes are gonna have to be made. because, like I said, I'm not for the conceding to just say, well, LeBron's here, so
Also,
we're just
too-
going to make the playoffs.
Also,
Be
too,
okay with it.
if you said culture reset after last year's sweep, and now you just lost 4 more games to bring a combined total to 10 straight games you've lost in the playoffs to the same team, you just said culture reset last year. In your press conference this year, you kind of got to follow the same lane. No, like you can't be like, oh,
You
well,
gotta follow
patience, you
through.
can't do
You gotta
this. Like
follow through.
now you really got to do something.
Culture reset season 2.
Season 2, right?
Right.
So we're right around like the hour mark here. So I'll like wrap this up, and I'll ask you guys each after this whole season, we talked enough about the season and all that. So let's focus in on just this playoff series. And we've done these 4 episodes now of the Ball on Blast live podcast following the Cavs and Raptors series. I just want to ask you guys, what is your lasting takeaway from this series? I'll start with Q. Just your one lasting takeaway from this series.
I didn't see the culture reset. I didn't see it. I seen the same team come out here and get swept by the Cavs. So, and it's not, and again, it's not just the losing; it's how they lost.
Yeah.
So when you say culture, I mean I'm changing everything. Not just the way we play, but the way we think, the way we approach things, the way we execute. Everything has to change.
Yeah.
And I didn't see that complete change. And I hope, as they show him right now, they're showing Masai on the phone. I hope he's calling GM around the league.
Sai, you look stressed.
to really
Stress,
put the
Masai.
reset, to really put the reset, and really pressing the reset.
Beals, what is your lasting impression from this Cavs 4-0 sweep of the Raptors?
Raps aren't ready.
Yeah.
Raps just aren't ready. Raps aren't ready. You haven't been ready the last 2 years. And if you're a
Really,
Raptor-
we're talking the last 3 years, right?
Exactly.
That's overall what,
Yeah.
12 and 2 against the Cavs.
Yep. And if you're a Raps fan next year, you have the Raps by arm's length. The regular season means nothing next year because you see what it is. We had the best regular season ever, and you went into the playoffs and you got swept. You got destroyed.
Yeah.
You got swept. You just laid down and took the loss.
Yeah.
You know that can't happen. So next year's next year, but the regular season means nothing. Treat the regular season how LeBron treated the regular season this year. The man said it doesn't matter where I'm at. We're gonna be there. We're gonna be there. We're gonna be there to perform. So,
I'm going to kind of piggyback off of what my man Beals just said, too. My key thing is blind faith, Raptor fans. Do not have blind faith
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, it doesn't look where it gets you.
Mhm.
Stop depending on the regular season and thinking that, just because we set another franchise record, it means something. We are at the point now, Toronto fans, it's championship or bust.
Ooh.
It's championship or bust.
One more time.
It's championship or bust. We've seen the first round of the playoffs. We've seen the second round of the playoffs. We've seen a conference finals. We've been here before, guys.
So you say just make the finals.
I'm saying make the finals.
Win the finals. That's a whole.
Make the finals now. That should be our mindset. So if making the finals means a big change, and we have the opportunity to make that big change, I say we take that leap. Stop taking little ditzy chances, and we keep on moving forward 2 inches, 3 inches. Let's take that leap, man. If there's an opportunity to make a move where we can get to a final, let's do that, Raptor fans, please.
Hey, my boy Ovechkin just beat Sid for the first time, so it can happen, folks. It can happen.
Ovechkin about to get that.
It's
ring.
interesting. I mean, I like what you're saying there, Foots, and it's about progression. And we've seen a good progression here since Masai Ujiri's been with the Raptors, and he's turned them from basically a laughingstock organization within the league to, I want to say, a legitimate franchise, like an actual respectable franchise within NBA circles. And I think you're right. The next step is actual progression in the playoffs and making a deep run into either another conference finals or an NBA finals. I agree with you. I just didn't think that was happening this season. Like, I never thought that was happening this season with the changes they made. I think they were kind of giving this core of Kyle, DeMar, and Serge another go and seeing where it went. But my lasting impression of this 4-game sweep is LeBronto. Man, LeBron owns the Raptors. And You cannot bring back this same core. You cannot come back with Kyle and DeMar as your best players and tell me that you think you can beat LeBron James in a playoff series.
Absolutely not.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely
So you can sell whatever it is that you want to sell, whatever moves you want to make in the offseason, all that. But as long as Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan are the best players on the Toronto Raptors, you cannot even pretend to come convince me that you think you can beat LeBron James in a playoff series. Because we started this playoffs by saying this is the no excuses playoffs. Lowry is rested. DeMar is rested. The team is healthy. They have a new offense. I was told that the pieces around Kyle and DeMar were the best team that the Raptors have had since they've had their little run here. All of these things I was told, and I didn't believe it. And I was told I was a Raptor hater. And we watched what just happened. LeBron is too much for that team. He disrespected them from start to finish. Don't listen to what anyone says. This series was not close. LeBron disrespected these dudes from front to back and knew it the entire time.
And any Raptor player who is seen with LBJ this Carabana, I'm snitching on you straight up and down. Listen, I'm snitching on y'all. Any Raptor fan, anybody that's a part of the organization, if you're partying with LeBron this Carabana, listen, I'm snitching on y'all. Y'all shouldn't even be a part of our team, man.
And hold on. We forgot one thing. My man Patrick.
I'm looking it up right now. I didn't forget.
Patterson. We're sipping the tea on the Twitter.
Talking reckless. When we see you in Wildflower and Lost and Found on a regular, we've seen him at Lost and Found and Wildflower on the regular. He spends more time in those two spots than he has on the court for OKC this season. Man, cut it out. You're a bum.
Yeah, Patrick Patterson, for those who don't know, what we're referring to is during the Raptors' blowout loss tonight, he tweeted out two emojis, the frog and the sipping tea. Now, I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but for some fun, well, I know what it's supposed to mean. He's sitting back as if to say, like, and y'all thought I was a problem or something. I don't know. That's my assumption, right? I'll say this. If you want to have some fun, Raptors fans, just click on that and read the comments because people are going at Patrick Patterson hard. I'm going to read some of these comments. Why? Because we can. Bro, you were on the team that got swept last year and you produced nothing this year. Your team lost to a rookie and you produced nothing. Is your overconfidence supposed to compensate for the fact that you have more scene points than basketball points?
Pat, gotta cut it out.
Pat,
we see you, man.
You
gotta cut it out.
Cut it out, man. You better apologize when you come back to the city, homeboy.
This might be my favorite comment from someone named I Am Harsh Dave. It says, Patrick Patterson averaged 4 points and 2 rebounds. Has been sitting at home for 2 weeks. Set money on fire last postseason after scoring 8 total points against Cleveland. But he's here misbehaving on the timeline. I aspire to lack this much self-awareness.
Right. I want to say one more thing for Raptor fans.
Mm-hmm.
You guys had to pick your poison, whether it was Indiana or Cleveland. I'm going to keep it a buck. Indiana probably would have swept us too. They took Cleveland to 7.
Yeah.
So,
and I think the Raptors would have underestimated it.
Exactly.
Because once Cleveland would have lost, it would have been like, all right, this is our chance.
So don't say it was just because it's LeBron.
No, I think it was just LeBron.
You think it was just LeBron? You think if they picked
I don't.
Indiana?
Because I think LeBron. I think, like I said, I was not a fan of hearing that.
Oh, you think LeBron's in their head?
LeBron really had some shit. Wow. I think DeRozan would have looked at Victor Oladipo like food. Right? Kyle would have looked at Darren Collison and CJ like food.
You might be right on that.
I think.
I just look at it because it took.
And I also don't think Lance Stevenson would have been as engaged not going up against LeBron. So I think it would have been a complete. I'm not saying they would have swept Indiana, but I think it would have been a different series.
I just look at it because Indiana took it.
I got an update, and I want to get you guys' take on this. DeMar DeRozan at the presser said, quote, "We had 3 opportunities. We're not sure if we'll get this opportunity again." That's DeMar on facing LeBron James in the playoffs.
There's your answer.
So does that mean because LeBron might leave? Does that mean because he expects changes to this Raptors team?
I think he should expect changes. And
all in the above.
I understand the bromance. I'm sure it's been fun watching the bromance develop over these last however many years. But every relationship comes to an end, and this one needs to.
Freddie Van Fleet says, we had a successful regular season and we failed in the postseason. It's that simple. It's not really that complicated. You don't have to mix the two together. Because we got swept doesn't take away from our regular season, but in the grand scheme of things, we just came up short.
That's it, Raptor folks. 1, 2, 3, Cancun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, so
Thank you for hanging out.
yes, we had a lot of fun doing this Ball on Blast podcast, and there could be a lot more on the way in terms of live shows and the regular On Blast podcast coming back, but details on that lately. I'll be back at some point with Webby on the normal Ball on Blast podcast. I'll have you guys back on at some point. We'll do this again at some other point, maybe for the finals, but I don't know how excited people even are if it ends up being Cavs Warriors Part 4, I guess that would be. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, we'll let this Raptors loss settle in for a little bit, but until then, let the people know where they can find you. Oh,
Hey, you can find me at DDS Caps on all social media sites.
Beals?
Beals BTMG.
Go to ddscaps.com for all your fresh DDS gear. On all social media, find me at simply_just_Q.
And you know what? One thing, too, I got to give a big shout-out to Skip and his whole crew here at Clean Cuts Barbershop, who gave us free reign of the place during these NBA playoffs, whatever hours we needed to shoot these Ball on Blast live podcast shows after Raptor games. So shout-out Skip. And again, if you need a haircut in the area, east end of Toronto, come through 2013 Danforth Avenue, just at Woodbine and Danforth. If you're in the area, call up Skip. Skip will take care of you or one of the crew here. Clean Cuts, always doing work. And again, my name is Sheldon Alexander. You can find this podcast and other podcasts that we do on the On Blast Podcast Network. You can find us on SoundCloud and on YouTube and on iTunes. If you like this, let us know. Because if it's something that the people like, we'll continue doing it. We'll do more of it for sure. Because this is for the people. We're trying to just have real, normal conversations about ball because we love ball. We're boys and we're passionate about it. So if people like it, share it, subscribe to it, tell your friends, let us know, and join in on the conversation. If you want to get at me, you can find me on Twitter at Shell Alexander or at Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. And as always, this is the Ball on Blast podcast, unpolished and unapologetic. Until next time, Raptor fans, see ya.
Peace.
On blast.
This is Ball on Blast, Raps post-game playoff edition. Part of the On Blast Podcast Network. Available on iTunes, SoundCloud and YouTube. If you like it, then subscribe and tell your friends. Holla.
On blast.